Hey everyone, ZSlayerDre here, and finally we got a brief glimpse at the PlayStation 5 UI, so we'll be going over that today along with a few other minor stories, so let's get right into it. A few days ago, Sony put up a 12-minute video detailing just some, not all, of the PlayStation UI and some of the new functions that will be coming along with it. They decided to show how the console will boot up from rest mode instead of the cold launch, which has furthered my suspicion that they're having some issues with some of the OS functionality, and went right into Sackboy's big adventure. While functionally speaking this is no different from the PlayStation 4, it is considerably faster, so that is great to see. We then saw something new for the PlayStation 5, the Control Center, which lets you access your friends list, parties, like you've been able to do on Steam for years, and newly introduced cards. Cards are a combination of older functions mixed in with some new functions in a very fluid UI. The biggest takeaway from the cards is the new activity system that are basically challenges, objectives, or trophies that you can do in the game you're currently playing. This even lets you jump right into the area in the game where the activity is almost instantly and start playing. If you're having issues with an objective, the system also has a way to view a card that will have a gameplay video for you to watch that will help you complete your objective. Unfortunately, this is a PlayStation Plus only feature, which I'll talk more about later, and it must be implemented by the developer. Since this will require extra work, I don't see it being widely adopted outside of first and second party PlayStation games. I'm sure some of the bigger studios will dabble in it, although it could end up being used for something else entirely, like the touchpad on the PS4 DualShock just ended up being used as a map button for most games. There's a ton of creative things this system could be used for, and may end up being a godsend to trophy hunters trying to do collectible trophies, but I'm sure at some point it will be used to suggest microtransactions to people to help them get by certain gameplay sections. We found out about this feature quite some time ago due to a patent, and unfortunately it does seem like some people's fears will probably come true, but we'll have to wait and see. Another interesting feature of the activity card is that it will let you know on average how long a certain section of a game took for other players to complete. It's going to be very helpful for people who only have a short amount of time to play, and gauge if they have enough time to finish a level, and I'm certainly looking forward to using this feature. Next we saw the revamped Party Chat, which was pitched as sort of a group chat where you can share pictures and talk with your friends. Since every DualSense will have a built-in microphone, they said users will be able to mute the mic at any time on the actual controller or in the console settings, which is good to know, and honestly, I'm still not crazy about the mic being a built-in feature. Parties can also be used to share your screen with your group, and they'll be able to watch your game using picture-in-picture while they play their own game. Another great feature, it takes something that Steam has been doing for years, or if you had a second monitor, and improves upon it by letting you move the picture-in-picture video wherever you want on the screen. Finally, consoles are catching up to the PC experience 10 years ago. What will they do next? I'm only half joking. While most of these features have been available for years on PC, you might have had to use a different set of programs to achieve it, and it probably wouldn't have looked this slick or been as easy to accomplish. I am curious to see if Steam will integrate the picture-in-picture feature into the system, although it does seem like you can do that in some situations already, and we might see the activity cards that are being used by third-party developers show up in Steam and other PC launchers in the future. But of course that's just speculation at this point. We then saw them to use the party to jump to a game that a friend was playing, and finally got to see that Sony SSD in action, booting up a fresh game. And well, it's basically the same as using an SSD now. The only real difference was that there weren't many title screens, which are used to hide loading screens and are sometimes skippable. I'm curious to see if all developers will now do this, or still make you go through 10,000 screens to finally make it to the title screen. They then fast forwarded to a match to show off the screenshot functionality, which you'll be able to use to take 4K pictures and video. This is great to hear, although considering how tiny the SSD is, I don't really see recording video as a viable option. It'll be more used for streaming, I imagine. I wonder if you can set it up to record to an external hard drive, which would solve the problem, but they didn't say if that's possible in the video. Right now on PS4 you must use the internal hard drive for recording, which personally is how I capture most of my gameplay. So I might have to switch to using my Elgato and recording to my PC if we can't use an external drive for that. Next we saw a tiny glimpse at the home screen, which looks similar but with some improvements. Firstly, games and media will have their own separate tabs, and personally I am very okay with that. I have so many icons and streaming things downloaded on the PS4, I've had to set up a ton of folders to make it navigable, and it's just a mess. This should make everything cleaner, and also the store will not be its own app, but builds right into the home screen. I certainly hope they work to make the store function better, because right now it can be pretty bad at times and still has some bugs and glitches even after 7 years of updates. There's also a new Explore area on the home screen which gives you official stories from the Sony and third-party developers, although it will only be available in the US at launch. Next they let us know that there's a text-to-speech option, and if you share something that has potential spoilers, it'll contain a warning to your friends before they open it, a very considerate feature. Both very good ideas. I don't think anyone wants to see spoilers, and right now I use the PlayStation Messages app on my phone to message people on the PlayStation 4, so I would be interested to see how well the speech-to-text option works. They just showed us a small overlook of the home screen. They really didn't go into many details, so we'll have to wait for another fucking video, or realistically, multiple, before we get the full UI. They claimed that there's a ton more to show us, but seriously, there's less than 1 month away from release. It seems like they are dead set on dominating the game's news media until launch, although again, I do think they are having issues with some of the OS functionality. The thing they keep rambling on about is how great the SSD is, but we've seen very little of it in action, and you would think they would want to show it off, which does make me speculate that they are having issues with the software. I'm sure it will still be very fast. I mean, it's 5.5 gigabytes a second. Even if the software isn't perfectly optimized, it will still go very fast. I'm not a huge fan of this piecemeal information dripping, and personally, I'm starting to lose interest, but I know I'm in the minority because whenever Sony does something, it dominates the news gaming cycle, or the gaming news cycle rather. Overall though, everything does look good so far, but we will have to see how widely adopted the cars are amongst third-party developers. And I really don't like that you have to be a PlayStation Plus member to get this. It should be covered in the cost of buying the game. A lot of people have been rightly complaining about the service, and this is a desperate attempt from Sony to make it seem like it has value. And it sucks because they actually made a great feature, but they just had to mess it up. There's no reason we should have to pay extra for online service to begin with, so they're just trying to justify an extortion fee basically. They really can't seem to get out of their own way with their insatiable greed. And like I said, a lot of these features have been available on PC for some time, but presented in a more sleek way. I'm really glad they didn't just half-ass them and did put some time into making them look nice. How widely used these features will be is another question, but they are certainly nice to have. Moving to our next news items, which will be quick. There were reports coming out about how the PlayStation 5 controller would always be monitoring or listening in on voice chat, and we got some clarifications on those allegations. Sony put out a blog post to clear up the apparent confusion, although they were very specific with their words, and I personally still have some questions for them, so I'll first report on what they said and then give my thoughts. Sony said in their blog post that the PS5 will record party chat, although it will be used to report verbal harassment through a new voice chat reporting function. They said, and I quote, "This feature will not actively monitor or listen in on your conversations ever, and it's strictly reserved for reporting online abuse or harassment." And then they apologized for how they were caught. I mean, apologize for people learning about this new feature in the recent PS4 8.0 system update without being notified about it. On the PS5, if a player needs to file a harassment report, they can include a 40-second long voice chat clip in the report, which will contain 20 seconds of the main conversation with the other player, plus 10 seconds before and after the conversation selected, and only the most recent 5 minutes of a voice chat will be available for a play to use in the reporting function. There will not be an opt-out for this reporting function, and people will have to agree to a terms of service when they purchase the PS5, which raises some legal questions. So I'm really glad that Sony tried to clear it up, although it's still disturbing on some levels. Even if the system was purely put in place to stop harassment, which I can guarantee it wasn't, it will take an extensive amount of work and oversight to make sure that the system is not abused. I'm glad it will only let users have access to the past 5 minutes of a chat, but at the same time, is the rest of the chat being stored, or is the voice chat that is older than 5 minutes being immediately deleted? Also, given how short of a time frame this is, it can be easily abused to have people report others using chat completely out of context. Not to mention, who decides what is and isn't an acceptable thing to say? Obviously, this is meant to stop people from saying racist and sexist things, which is definitely a good thing, and I hope they are able to achieve that. But who decides where the line is for those comments? And I'm sure a ton of people will simply report things that are not harassment, but they simply don't agree with. And Sony said if they do that, they will educate them, whatever the hell that means. While I like the idea of an attempt to stop online harassment, I don't think Sony is qualified to govern over what is and isn't acceptable to say online. We also have the issue of people recording other people's voice chat without their permission, which is illegal in some states. I'm not a lawyer, but from what I've read, those user agreements are not legally binding, so Sony could get in trouble over that, and not to mention, they were recording minors in many cases, so again, they could see legal issues over that. I would have to imagine that they consulted lawyers before implementing this feature, but there most likely will be issues coming out of this function. I can foresee someone during a party that they may only know 1 or 2 people in, making a joke that someone else misinterprets, and that person potentially getting into legal trouble over something stupid that they said was just meant to be a joke. And every time a multi-billion-dollar company says that they aren't using your recorded voice chat for other purposes, they always are, so I absolutely do not trust Sony to not use and sell this data for targeted marketing purposes. It's a nice idea and probably has good intentions by the people who actually came up with the idea, but also has so many possible issues that I don't see it going very well. Personally, I'm just going to mute my mic and leave it at that. Lastly, we had an interesting comment from Phil Spencer regarding future Bethesda games exclusivity. It's a long quote, but Philly said, "I don't want to be flip about that. This deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation that put together was, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play games." But I'll also say, in the model, when I think about where people are going to be playing and the number of devices that we had, I don't have to ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make the deal work for us, whatever that means. I love this quote because it's so rare that we get an executive give us a straight and honest answer. While he doesn't explicitly say that we will not see future Bethesda games on PS5, he firmly says that they don't need to either, and personally, I don't think they should. This is a warning to Sony. If they keep up their behavior, Microsoft can strike right back and make some very big games, Xbox and PC exclusives, and still make their money back, and then some. It'll be interesting to see how Sony responds to this, although I doubt they'll change their ways, so I would expect most if not all future Bethesda games to be Xbox and PC exclusives, or at least, a 1-year console exclusive. I don't think Nintendo is included in this. I do think some Bethesda games will come to Nintendo platforms, assuming they come out with hardware that can handle them anyways. So there we have it, an interesting week in gaming news for sure. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about the PS5 UI and the mic recording debacle. Do you think Bethesda games will only ship to Xbox and PC, or even do you think should they do that? Anyways, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so, and be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. A quick channel update, I just upgraded my PC so I'll be able to pump out content more quickly. Right now I've been doing about 1 video a week, but I'm going to try and step it up to at least 2 now. I have a Mario 3D All-Stars Impressions video and Genshin Impact review that should be coming out soon. With all the new games coming out, I'm going to have to pick and choose which ones to review first, although I will review all of them eventually. I'm going to do Watch Dogs Legion and then Cyberpunk. If I think I can bang out Assassin's Creed Valhalla between the two, I will, although those games tend to be quite long and I won't have much time to finish it before Cyberpunk comes out, so we'll have to see. After those, I'll definitely be doing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which I'm actually really excited for, and I kind of wish it wasn't coming out so close to Cyberpunk so I would have more time to play it. But if you have any other games you would like to see me review in the meantime, let me know down in the comments. I am going through all the Assassin's Creed games in chronological order right now just because I got the new PC. I might actually review some of them, but it's going to be, kind of here and there in between, other stuff. But definitely keep your eyes out for that. I'm also debating on doing some anime reviews. It won't be the main focus of the channel, but I thought it would be fun to do here and there. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.